Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. Folks, we are about to break down, dissect, one of the best, most important articles about silver price manipulation that's on the internet. And it's covered by none other than Ted Butler, the prime guy to break this stuff down and dissect it. We're talking about price manipulation on a much bigger level than people assume, than just spoofing. Someone had the audacity to say, and I can't even believe they think this, that it's the YouTubers that are influencing the price, and not understanding that this has been going on much longer than YouTube's been a platform. And we're talking about the world's most powerful banks, people suppressing the price. Andy Schectman always says price is the greatest tool of misdirection. Silver and gold, it's a direct threat to the dollar. They don't want you investing into gold and silver. Look what happened to the Hunt brothers in 1980 when they tried to buy all of the silver on the COMEX and turn it into physical. They weren't going to let these three brothers own up to 70% of the entire global silver supply in physical form. They weren't going to let that happen. That would have exposed the COMEX. That would have exposed the corruption. That would have exposed these criminals, the facade. This isn't just YouTubers with a couple thousand subscribers talking about it. This is on a much bigger scale, folks. You got to understand this. This is much more sinister. We're talking about the most powerful banks like JPMorgan, Jamie Dimon, 3 of their employees getting sent to prison, another one for racketeering. We're just the ones exposing it. And Ted Butler does a great job. Silver is being S-word exploited. Silver manipulation, crime, and more crime. This is how I would sum up JPMorgan's operations, especially in the wake of the pandemic. You got to understand the magnitude of this, folks. You have to understand the magnitude. But folks, before we jump into this very important video, I have a massive announcement. I'm doing a silver giveaway and the prizes just doubled. I'm giving away an entire tube of sealed eagles. But not only that, Andy Schectman is also throwing in an entire tube of sealed eagles. So there's going to be 2 winners. So your chances of winning just doubled. Double the prize, double the fun, double the stackers getting an opportunity to win silver shipped straight to their front doorstep by just clicking one button. And that button is subscribe. Go enter. The entry video is live, links in the description. Andy Schectman and I will be live streaming it next Wednesday on our show. Since we do have a weekly show, I highly recommend you go check out the last episode. That episode is exploding. We're already at like 70,000 views. And Andy Schectman, right in the beginning, talks about silver corruption. What Ted Butler's talking about right here, right? Andy Schectman jumps right off the bat of that episode talking about how silver's price is manipulated on a much bigger, much more sinister scale than people can even fathom. So now, folks, it's time to break down and dissect this article from Ted Butler. Hope you enjoy this. Actually, I know you will enjoy this. Please click the like button if you like this video. Please leave a comment. Explain why you enjoy this video or your thoughts on this. Engagement really helps. We need this type of stuff to get out. This is the article titled Silver Manipulation by JPMorgan. And I quote, "Lock them up. Silver is being S-word exploited." What a disturbing way to start this article. Now, they just do a little bit of news updates, talking about the journey so far. But I want to go into the main question. How is the price being manipulated? JPMorgan's alleged price manipulation, so on and so forth. So this is how it all starts, right? Because there's different types. The discrepancies in current prices and projected prices mostly suggest a manipulation in silver. Silver price is subject to market dynamics and movements primarily by the futures market players or commodity exchanges. The manipulation occurs due to any of the following mechanisms or a combination: the placement of shorts in the futures market or naked shorts. Spoofing is the placement and cancellation of fake orders placed. And this is what most people think is just going on. But Ted Butler, which has been in the game for several decades, right, he breaks down this whole situation on a much more sinister level. Rehypothecation This entails placing the same ounce of silver as collateral for multiple loans and agreements, tweaking and rigging of rules on the commodity exchanges like LBWA and COMEX. This usually entails settlements of futures contracts made in cash instead of the actual physical silver. And manipulative funding. This entails injecting false liquidity into the market by harnessing dark pools of money to fund trades in the market. That's one of the more sinister ones, probably more controversial ones. But we know that this is happening. We know that there's being billions, if not trillions of dollars that's been thrown over the years, over the decades, to suppress the price of silver. I mean, look at what happens on the COMEX. When Andy Schectman talks about this stuff, you know, the bleed downs, the blatant hoarding of silver by banks and gold by banks. Look what India just did. Look what Russia is doing with gold. India just doubled up 700 million ounces of silver the last year, just alone. And then India and China. I mean, we're talking about the BRICS nations. Why are they hoarding gold and silver if the price is doing nothing? They know something that nobody else knows. Price is the greatest tool of misdirection. JPMorgan's alleged price manipulation. For years, the global financial markets have been awash with allegations of price manipulation for precious metals such as silver and gold. Now, you would wonder, why silver? That's because silver is a much smaller market than gold. Tenfold more than that. Silver is a much smaller market than gold, so it's a lot easier to manipulate the price of silver, especially in short stints like spoofing. Which, by the way, spoofing is when these banks or bankers will go on an exchange and place a whole bunch of buy or sell orders, but they cancel the order before it goes through. See, that order was never meant to actually be placed. It's a false order. The trickiest thing about this is you're allowed to cancel buy and sell orders, so how can you catch someone with the intent that they were never going to allow that to go through? And then that tricks the volume, the volatility on that exchange, and then everyone else on the exchange is being influenced by these fake orders, thinking that all those orders are going to go through, that a whole bunch of people is buying up all this silver on the exchange or selling it, and then they start reacting off of these fake numbers because those orders aren't real, and then they cash out in a way they want. Jamie Dimon did it, a similar thing in 2017 with Bitcoin, right? He came on all these news channels, said Bitcoin's a scam, and all these people panic sold it, shot the price of Bitcoin down thousands of dollars, and then what do you know, later that day, who's buying millions of dollars in Bitcoin? JPMorgan, where Jamie Dimon's obviously the owner, the CEO. And that's because blockchain stores every transaction publicly, so you can't get away with that stuff like you can with a centralized fiat system with like a bank. Regardless, though, that's some of it. 6 JPMorgan Chase employees were accused of manipulating precious metals futures by the U.S. authorities. The bank had fallen under suspicion of spoofing thousands of gold and silver futures orders for its benefit and that of its premium hedge fund clients. The accusation levied against the bank had led to a 2-year probe by the U.S. Justice Department and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC. The manipulation campaign had been to place orders on futures contracts and cancel them to mislead several market participants, just as I was explaining. As mentioned above, one of the most critical aspects of the silver market is the futures market, as well as the place of the market makers. This aspect of silver trade takes advantage of the demand and supply of the metal to manipulate the price as they deem fit. The bank had come under the radar of the U.S. authorities after an ex-trader of the bank's precious metal confessed to a 6-year spoofing scheme. The trader had stated that the price manipulation had taken place between 2009 and 2014 with the knowledge of superiors at the metals desk. And yeah, I mean, these guys are just the ones getting thrown under the bus. And do you think it's just these 6 people that's ever spoofed, that's ever done this? No, this has been happening for years with thousands. I mean, these guys have admitted themselves to placing thousands of these orders with billions of dollars. And do you think it's just JPMorgan? No. Dutch Bank and Merrill Lynch also got caught. 2 other banks also got caught spoofing. And do you think it's just them, with just those people, just those 3 guys getting sent to prison? No. This is on a much bigger scale. The plan is to inject false liquidity into the market and create a bubble to benefit their market position. With this, market participants without adequate fundamental knowledge of silver market movers buy into this bubble and in most cases get stuck with limited exit. While JPMorgan has long been in the center of market manipulation allegations, several others were not left out. In 2015, about 10 banks were also accused and brought under the radar of the U.S. financial authorities for metals and commodities manipulation. 10 banks. 10 banks. See, folks, when people say that it's just the YouTubers that are influencing the price of silver and causing, that is so beyond just delusion of uneducated, what would be the word? Uneducated, delusional assuming from the lack of willingness to just look at something a little deeper before making their opinions, right? Usually that's closed-mindedness. You gotta understand that if you're going to talk about something, make sure you understand what you're talking about. And if you're going to do your homework, make sure you get the answers correct as well. That's very important. Regardless, we're the ones exposing this stuff. We're not the ones saying this stuff. We're the ones exposing it. Right? This is an article I'm showing of Ted Butler saying this stuff, and Ted Butler is overqualified to make stuff like this. Right? It's not me covering an article that I wrote. I'm exposing the truth. So anyways, HSBC Holdings, the Bank of Scotia, and the UBS Group were reportedly involved in silver rates manipulation between 2007 and 2013, way before YouTube caught wind. And this is way before social media. This has been going on. Now, this is another important question, as people say, well, if silver's price is rigged and manipulated, then why would I even get into it? Well, there's reasons, and the best reason I could say is they can't manipulate the price forever. And actually, this same exact facade from the COMEX, that's going to be the spark, the straw that broke the camel's back to expose the natural price. Because the Hunt brothers was a perfect example. And if you actually listen to the last episode of Andy Scheckman and I, he actually mentions the Hunt brothers situation as well. And that's because the Hunt brothers almost did bring down the COMEX. Because the COMEX is supposed to have an equal 1-to-1 ratio of anyone who has contracts on there that tries to turn their silver in for physical, they should be able to. But if someone goes on there and sweeps all the silver, 1,000-ounce bars, off of the shelves, which the LBMA and COMEX already said their vaults are near empty, then if everyone tried to turn in those contracts, they wouldn't be able to fulfill those orders. See, they don't have that much silver that they're saying, and that would expose it. That would break it down. That would expose the facade, and that is coming sooner than later. And it doesn't even have to do about just that itself. Fundamentals outweigh certain facts. Silver's price is influenced to certain percentages by several different things. Let's say stock market volatility affects the price of silver 10% or something. The dollar index maybe 30%. Obviously these percentages are much different. Dollar index definitely has one of the heaviest influences. Then let's say Bitcoin's price or gold's price influences silver's price to X percent. All these different things, but the fundamentals always outweigh the speculation and the other commodities. Fundamental supply and demand will always outweigh. Yes, other things do affect the price more than they should, and that's why I always say I hate that S word, but low supply, high demand always pushes the price, especially when you look at a chart, silver demand, comparing it or correlated to silver's price, it's almost spot on. So we know that silver's price, let's break it down like this. If we know that there is a direct correlation between silver's price and its demand, as demand rises, price rises, and we know silver demand is going to be booming over the next 10 years, then what does that tell you? Especially since we saw the biggest supply deficit this year, record-breaking supply deficits this year. So it's only going to get worse. And no amount of money you try to throw in the other direction, or no amount of spoofing, is going to be able to outweigh the fundamentals of a silver shortage. So anyways, and I say silver's price will get exposed its natural price in the next like 3, 4, 5 years. I think by that time, the COMEX won't be able to keep up this facade. I think we'll be deep enough into the supply deficit, the needs, the uses, the critical role that silver plays in the industrial sector. I mean, by then, silver's price will be blatantly will be blatantly exposed, because how is something that's so useful worth only 20 something dollars when you have gold that's worth 90 times? The gold to silver ratio is 91 to 1 right now. How is gold 91 times more valuable than silver when silver is 91,000 times more useful than gold is? It makes no sense. Gold just sits around in bars and jewelry and rings. Why is gold so valuable when silver's the thing that has uses that's needed to a much bigger extent? Makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. Silver is the most highly conductive metal, not gold. Silver is. Silver is the metal that we need in EVs and solar panels and 5G towers and everything. Silver is. Silver purifies water, not gold. It's silver. But anyways, he goes into, despite its susceptibility and vulnerability of manipulation, silver appears to be the best fit for investors looking to hedge against market uncertainties, especially now with the pandemic and unknown effects of this further out. Though there are significant concerns as to whether the suspicion of mining and industrial activities could impede the supply of silver, experts believe that there are inventories that will accommodate global demand. Despite the price of the metal and the upheavals in the market, analysts believe that buying silver is quite bright. Beliefs around the silver market highlight price manipulation will soon be curtailed and the market will see a positive shift. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what Andy Schectman's talking about. That's what David Morgan's talking about. That's what Ted Butler's talking about. That's what Mike Maloney's talking about. That's what Keith Neumeyer's talking about. Right. However, while investing in silver could be lucrative in light of its place as safe haven asset, it is essential to understand the fundamentals of the market movement and price determinants. The fundamentals. The fundamentals. So anyways, this firm knows that the benefit of their criminal actions, as most banks who continue to break laws do, as a cost of doing business. Right? Man. And then you have macro price manipulation. Is a team sport being played by banks? I mean, this is a huge article. This is a huge article. So if you guys want to dig deeper in this, JPMorgan gives us all the middle finger as they buy silver. Yeah. I mean, yeah, folks. The offset of the coming inflation is in all the charts. Wonder if Trump knows that Jamie Dimon is in FU mode and bets Trump won't get reelected. I'm sure he's 100% fine with that. Maybe someday should tell Trump that Wall Street and smart money are betting against him. Anyways, as I see silver going above 18, I can only laugh. At some point when the effects of JPMorgan and their billionaire friend who they work for come to roost, there will be a price to pay, just not likely for them, as all their corrupt behavior is paid by the people, or should I say sheeple. And yeah, it's their employees, right? Their employees getting sent to prison, not them. Regardless, though, this is just some of the stuff that needs to be exposed when you're someone who's trying to understand what actually is going on behind the scenes of the silver market and is actually affecting the price of silver and why silver actually has so much potential. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Make sure you go enter my silver giveaway. All you gotta do is click a button and then go type in a hashtag, and guess what? You have a chance. You have 2 chances to win an entire stack or an entire tube of sealed eagles. You don't want to miss it, folks. I promise you don't want to miss it. You will regret it. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.